From the heart of Wayne County, this is Wayne Goldsboro Television, Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Today is Friday, it's March 3rd, 2017, and this is Wayne Goldsboro Television. On a blustery day, we are at Herman Park. Herman Park, where it's windy and the temperatures today is supposed to get into the 60s again, just like they did yesterday, maybe a little warmer. But anyway, hello there to you. My name is Wayne Alley, and we're out here on this chilly day enjoying the park. And actually, there's some people out here, as you may have seen there a moment ago, enjoying the park, and it's beautiful. The park itself, the grass is greening up, and the trees are starting to bud out a little bit, and it's a beautiful day, and this is a great place to spend a little time if you have it. Kick back and relax here. And by the way, I do want to mention the Kiwanis train will be cranking up here. I believe it's on April 1. April 1st is a Saturday, and the Kiwanis train will be cranking up on that day here at Herman Park. $1 a ride, okay, and you get 3 trips around the track, and it's a lot of fun. It's an icon here at Herman Park. It's the train itself is over 60 years old, and they're keeping it up, and it runs extremely well. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of kids grew up riding that train, and adults come back here and they reminisce and remember the days when they were youngsters riding on that Kiwanis train and watching their youngsters and grandchildren ride on that Kiwanis train. So cranking up here on April 1st. Now, we've got the North Carolina Pickle Festival getting underway in Mount Olive on April 28th. Excuse me. April 28th and 29th it is. April 28th and 29th in Mount Olive. Now, if you are a vendor, if you have things to sell, if you have items that you think would do well at the North Carolina Pickle Festival, you need to apply as a vendor no later than March 14th, and you can do that by contacting the Chamber of Commerce there in Mount Olive, or just go ahead online to ncpicklefest.org, ncpicklefest.org, and apply online to be a vendor. At the Wayne County Public Library, right up the street from us here. On today, they've got a book club meeting this afternoon at 4 p.m. It's the Real Murders Book Club. It's their newest program. It's called the Real Murders Book Club. They will examine and discuss cases from best-selling crime novels and with other mystery buffs, figure out who done it, and in the second novel, American Heiress, by Jeffrey Tobin. Jeffrey Tobin, the author of American Heiress. So that'll be the book that will be discussed apparently this afternoon. Coming up tomorrow, Saturday, Stimulating Story Time. This is for 5th graders and below, 5th grade and below, at the Goldsboro Public Library again. You can visit the new STEM-based Story Time, where they'll read books on different topics, and they will do an experiment or two, as a matter of fact. This is at the library tomorrow, beginning at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. You remember playing dodgeball when you were a youngster in school? Dodgeball. Well, dodgeball returns. The Parks and Recreation Department is going to have dodgeball on what days? March 1st. We missed that one. But also on March 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. That's every Wednesday in March. So you've got the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th at the Greenwood Middle School Gymnasium. Now, you have to register for this at Herman Park Center. Register at Herman Park Center is $10 per player, and that includes your T-shirt. You get a T-shirt. Anyway, for more information, call the Parks and Recreation Department, 919-739-7491. It's 919-739-7491. 7491, okay? All right, it's Friday. Now, the weekend's going to be cool, too. Like last night, we're going to get down in below freezing here in Wayne County again tonight. So just, if you have plants that you're worried about and concerned about, you might consider covering them up. Do not use plastic. Do not use plastic. If you're going to cover your azaleas and stuff, if they're blooming, you have to use a cloth, because the plastic, when the sun comes up, the plastic will get hot and it'll actually burn your buds. Don't burn your bud. Okay, so do that. But again, it's going to get below freezing again tonight. It's supposed to be down around 27, so be aware of that. Now tomorrow, the weekend, it's going to slowly warm up. Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, it's going to warm up a little bit. We'll be, in fact, one day we're going to be in the upper 60s. Just be aware of that. All right, great weather's coming. You just kind of have to hang on for it. A couple of more things here. On the 21st of March, there's going to be a program offered by the Goldsboro Family Y at the Family Y at noon, and at 6 p.m. on the 21st of March, there'll be a program called Weigh Less, Live More. You'll learn safe ways to drop pounds and feel satisfied at the same time. You'll also learn 10 ways to weigh less and live more. There you go. That's on March 21st. 2 classes, one at noon and another at 6 p.m. Then on May 2nd, it's Change Your Brain. Change your brain, change your body at noon, and again at 6 p.m. Your brain's involved in everything you do, right? Most everything you do. How do you think, how you feel, how you act, how you interact with people. What you eat affects your brain. You realize this, right? What you eat affects your brain. Learn about what accelerates brain aging and what decelerates brain aging. That's what I want. I want some of that stuff. The Wayne Shrine Club Spring Fish Fry getting ready to kick off here at Herman Park and in southern Wayne County on April 7th. April 7th. Now this is not a tax-deductible donation. This time they have 2 a year. One is for the hospital, Children's Hospital. This one is one that helps keep the Shriners Club operational. It keeps them running. It helps with projects they run throughout the year. But now the Wayne Shrine Club annual Spring Fish Fry is all set for April 7th. It's from 11 till 2 and 4 till 7. So you have lunch and dinner, 11 till 2 and 4 till 7. Each plate is $8. Delicious fried fish, coleslaw, potato salad, and hush puppies. That is, unless you're eating in Herman Park Center. 3 locations. I'll tell you where they are in just a moment. Herman Park Center, you go in, you sit down and eat and enjoy, and that's always a lot of fun because there's always a lot of people in there. So you go in and you eat, and you also get iced tea or water with your meal. Now there's also a dessert table. I forget right now how much the dessert costs, but it's all good. It's all good. And while it's only $8 a plate, I'd love it, and you would enjoy it if you actually gave them $10. If you can give them 10, that's fine. If you can't, don't worry about it. But it would be certainly appreciated. I mean, we're talking about the Shriners here. They do such good work in Wayne County. Again, April 7th here at Herman Park. Drive-through. Herman Park, you drive through right here behind me. Or Herman Park Center, you eat in and sit down and eat in. Or in southern Wayne County, at the Proper Machine Shop on Highway 55, right across from Mount Olive Center. That would be across from the food line in that area. Okay? All right. Boy, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good food. Good eating. Good eating. All right, that's all coming up. One more very quickly here. Wayne County Public Library is a nice place to visit. Yes, it is. Just wonderful place to visit. Okay. Pig picking. Got a pig picking at the American Legion post, post 11. That's on Highway 117 South near the fairgrounds. You go past the fairgrounds and then take your next left. Not your next left, that's a cemetery. But go one right next to the cemetery. Go down, you turn around, you come back. And post 11's on your left there as you go past the fairgrounds, okay? They got a big old pig picking coming. That pig picking is on March 25th. March 25th, a big old pig picking, starting at 5 p.m. with all proceeds going to the Wayne County Veterans and Patriots Coalition. All right. And that will begin at 5 p.m. on March 25th. The American Legion Riders, Post 11, Highway 117 south of pig picking. Boston butt, quarter chickens, baked potatoes, and sides, and oh boy, that's going to be big. Hope you're able to go to that one. All right. And then on March 11th, got the 41st annual pork barbecue supper at the Oakland Volunteer Fire Department. That's the old building. The 41st annual pork barbecue is $8 a plate, 4 to 7 p.m. Eat in or take out. Boiled potatoes, coleslaw, hush puppies, and of course barbecue. All right, so you will not, if you're hungry, you got places to go all during the month of March. How's that? We're going to go to our interview now. We'll go to the next segment of the program, and that will be coming up right now on Wayne Goldsboro Television. welcome to the Chairman's Corner. We're here today with Wayne County Board of Commissioner Chairman Bill Pate. Sir, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good to see you. Well, we have a meeting coming up on the 7th, I believe.
Yes, it is. It'll be the 7th.
On the 7th of March, and that's right around the corner. So what do we anticipate?
Actually, I think it's going to be another short meeting.
Oh, man, that's great.
Well, you know, it's the quiet before the storm, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
Because we're getting ready to move into budget.
Oh, boy.
And that'll be a different tale. Yeah. The meetings will be longer, so there'll be work sessions and that kind of thing.
So get rest while you can.
So, yeah, we're sort of in between that, and George is getting prepared for Craig Honeycutt, the new assistant manager, to come in. I think it's not this Monday, it's the following Monday. Yeah. So that'll really help him, and Craig's got a lot of work to do. We've already planned a lot of things that we have. We made some changes, like we moved our public comment to 9:05 right after we finished the invocation and pledge and the approval of minutes and the discussion of the agenda, because we had been moving so fast that we were having to skip around on the agenda anyway, so we thought it was more appropriate to go ahead and move it to the front. And also it gives the opportunity to the public to get in, say their piece, and if they need to go to work, they can go to work. They don't have to sit out there for a long time. You know.
The thinking is you moved it. It was what? It was 9:15, but you only moved it up 10 minutes, so that's not a big move. But it is. You were right. You were moving along other items so quickly that it left a gap there, and you had to wait because you have to. This is an advertised time. Yeah. You have to wait.
That's right. You have
until
to wait
that time.
You have to wait till that time, but you can postpone it. And sometimes because we get hung up in other things, because I was skipping around, it pushed it further back to 9:15.
But you can never start early.
No, you can't start early, but you can start later. Yeah, but I don't want to keep people out there waiting. No. People have jobs that they need to go to, and I don't want to hold them up.
So this will help. It'll be more convenient.
Well, I certainly hope so. We'll see how it goes, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay, good.
We'll have a public hearing, and it's to talk about the adoption of a resolution and agreement for an existing industry. And I don't know whether it'll be Tiffany will come over or Crystal. It'll be one of the two. Probably Tiffany to talk about that. And there may be a few appointments that have to be made. I hadn't talked to Joe Gurley, but he's the appointment chairman.
Of the appointment committee.
Of the appointment committee, yeah. I get it right. And then moving on there, we're going to talk about the approval of the 911 call center. The facilities committee met, and they've come up with some things, agreements they're going to recommend to the full board, so we can go ahead and move forward with the full architect plans and eventually the construction of the building.
Man, this is something that's badly needed here in Wayne County.
The 911 center we currently have, when it came up, we started using it. It was fine, but the call volume is so huge, and there's no room to add any people in there, and there's no way to expand over there. And it's actually, there are concerns at times that building itself, during some of the bigger storms, was not as safe as it could be. Right. As a matter of fact, they were afraid the windows might blow out.
Oh my goodness!
But it never did, thank God. Yeah. But this will be a secure facility that'll be able to stand, I think, up to 130-mile-an-hour winds.
And room for expansion.
Good. And so it's badly needed. Then we can add on additional staff, because we're taking care of all the calls for the city of Goldsboro, for the entire county.
And all the municipalities.
And if I could remember what the call volume was, I would tell you, but it's grown in a huge way, and it's
several thousand a month.
Yeah, it is.
Several thousand.
Yeah, and a lot of them are very important. Some of them should never be called there. But it is it is what it is.
That's right.
And then Allison come out. We got a few budget amendments we got to approve this month. This meeting. And but not nearly as many as last.
Well, that's good.
As well, I was giving her a hard time about that. When we go to the agenda meeting, we go, "Oh, Allison, what have you got for us today?"
You're going to give her a complex.
I know. We like to tease her. We really do. And I think we've got Jerry Phillips will be coming over, declaring that March 2017 is American Red Cross Month in Wayne County.
Yes.
I served on that board too when I was in my former life.
Right.
And they do very important work. They really do.
I'm a big supporter, as are you, of the Red Cross.
Yep.
And you just can't talk about the Red Cross enough.
they just do so much work, and the work that people don't even know about.
No, they don't. They have no idea. You know, like I say, you got to serve on these boards to really find out what they do.
That's exactly right. You know, in my previous life, I used to have to get up kind of early.
Yes, you did.
Almost as early as I do now, but had to get up early, and I would be out traveling the streets of Goldsboro and go past where a house had burned.
Yeah.
And there was a Red Cross out there at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
2 and 3 o'clock in the morning in freezing rain or ice or whatever, with blankets and helping these people. And that's common. They do this all the time.
Yeah, I remember you had to get up early because when I used to go to the interview, y'all had me over there about 7:30 in the morning.
Well, sure, that's the middle of the day, you know.
Yeah, you and I have quite a history together over the years of interviewing. We'll have Kevin Johnson and JR and Emily Odom will be coming in to talk about the We Dig It Ag Day at Odom Farms.
Oh, great.
And, of course, you know, you've been out there and filmed that. It is a great thing that they do for these kids.
It is.
And most of these kids, unless they live on the farms, still think that food comes from Food Line.
Yep.
And being able to go out there and actually see the animals and the produce that they provide out there is it's an important thing. 'Cause, you know, as you well know, agriculture is the largest income in Wayne County economic impact, which is over $1 billion. I said B and not million.
Billion. That's right.
It's huge.
It's extremely important to us.
And you know, I was reading an article this morning about how you'll have to double production in the next 20 years, I think, to be able to meet the world demand.
Yeah.
And you know, you hear Jimmy Dickinson talk about it all the time. The way that we can best protect ourselves as a country is to continue to be able to feed ourselves.
That's exactly right.
And he's right.
He is right.
And so, anyway, that's just really important to me. And I always have a great time when I go out there watching those little eyes and the expressions they have when they bring the goats and the pigs and that kind of thing out.
These are second graders.
Yeah, from all over the county.
Wayne County Public Schools second graders, and they are taken to Odom Farms off Claridge Nursery Road for Ag Day, and they spend time out there learning about where our food comes from.
And there are a lot of, you know, Farm Bureau, I think, is a big player in this thing, and others help, you know, provide food and that kind of stuff for everybody. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, JR and Emily Odom do a wonderful job.
Yeah, they do. They're really great people. The next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the old Carver High School property in Mount Olive.
Yeah.
The school system no longer uses it. The town of Mount Olive wants it, and there's already, I think, a cooking school in there and some other things, and we think it's the right thing to go ahead and deed that thing over to them. So that's the process of what we'll be doing on that.
That's great.
And that way, not only can they spend more money on it, since they'll own it and improve it, and it'll be a good community thing, and they've got our support, and that's what we'll be doing. Of course, we haven't voted on it yet, but I feel sure this is going to work out.
I hope so.
For everybody.
I hope it does.
And the school system doesn't need it. We don't need it. It's a perfect fit for Mount Olive.
It is. All right.
And then we got a couple of surplus properties that we're going to talk about selling, and that there are smaller properties that right now they're empty. They're not really able to build on them, and the city and the county own it together, and somebody's got to look after the property and cut the grass. So perhaps some of the landowners around it that attach to their property may want it.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of where we're headed on this thing.
Good. Well,
So, and we do this on a regular basis.
Right.
And that's pretty much what the board meeting is going to be about, because we're going to have some closed session things that we're going to need to discuss. And so we may be in there longer than we were out there on the floor, but it's in preparation for probably the next meeting for coming out and talking about it. We've got contractual kind of things we're talking about.
Excellent.
One update I want to give you, and I found out last Friday, George and I got an email from Bob Carnegie, Tri-City.
Yes.
We had received through them, USDA, they're the conduit where the money flows through. We've originally received a loan for the Maxwell Center of $1.1 million, or just south of $1.1 million. Nice. And we were in a running for an additional one, and we didn't think that we would get it, but we found out on Friday that we will receive $1.3 million, 10-year interest-free loan.
Additional?
Yes,
this
additional.
Is
this is huge. I mean, no interest. I mean,
Man, that's nice.
I mean, I wish somebody would send me a check with no interest and loan me some money that way. But
no interest over a 10-year period. Now that is beautiful.
and that's got to pay it back, but at least we don't have to pay any interest.
Yeah,
on it.
no interest on it. Well, that's a really good deal. That's from USDA,
That's
U.S.
right.
Department of Agriculture.
We've done everything we can, turned over every rock we could find to help fund this center. And we're getting ready to come out with the brick paver program. We discussed that last week with the architect.
Right.
And we hadn't finalized it yet, but there's actually a company that won't charge us. It will set up a marketing plan and actually take care of it, because they'll be engraving the stones, on the pavers, and another way for folks who may not have deep pockets like me, who may want to have some contribution to the center, that their name or their family name will be there forever.
That's a great idea.
And
anybody can partake in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody.
And actually, we kind of held off a little while doing this because with the hurricane and all that, we didn't want to push people to, during that time. But then they're coming to us now, saying that we want to be part of this.
Oh, that's great.
And so we'll be announcing that pretty soon. We'll get it on the website, and I'll have Kevin shoot it out to all the farmers, and I think it'll sell itself.
I think it will too.
And we'll be meeting with the architect, matter of fact, tomorrow. Yeah. Again, that's part of it. We're actually picking out the colors of the carpet and the walls, and I'm telling you, I'm so excited. Kristen and H&H Architecture have done such a great job with us, and she thanked us so much last week for allowing her to work with us on this project, because she'd never done a convention center before.
Really? Mm-mm. Well, she sure knew what she was doing. She did her research.
Yeah, and since then, she's been able to find work with the city of Goldsboro. They did W.A. Foster, and I think there's another project coming up. And she just got the big life science building at NC State.
Oh, is that
right? And I kidded her. I said, I was glad now I know somebody who's famous.
Oh, that is great.
But I wanted to commend you on one thing too. That the video that you did inside the building with the superintendent.
Yeah, the new accent.
And I mentioned this to you earlier. I said, because I hadn't been on the inside of it, driving by the road, you can say how high it is, but it wasn't as big as I thought about it. But when you got on the inside and was filming, I said, man, that thing is big.
It is big, yeah.
So I'm really excited about it.
I'll tell you what, we're all excited about our new Maxwell Regional Agricultural Convention Center.
Yeah, me too.
It is fantastic. Well, Bill, looking forward to the meeting on Tuesday, the 7th of March. It's going to be, as you say, it should be, unless something else comes out, it should be a relatively short meeting.
I think it should. I think it will be.
And we're going to get a lot done. That's great. All right, looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Chairman Bill Pate, Chairman of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners, and everybody's invited. I'll remind you, everyone's invited to the Commissioner meetings the first and third Tuesday of each month in the Commissioner Boardroom on the 4th floor of the Wayne County Courthouse. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks again.
This has been Chairman's Corner.
And we're back on the Thank you for being with us. If you're a woman veteran, if you're a female veteran, there is a counseling available now for women veterans in a group setting. This is the second Wednesday of every month at 10 o'clock at the Goldsboro Veterans Services Office. That's at 2001D East Ash Street in Goldsboro. 2001D East Ash Street. All right. Let's find out what's special about today, shall we? Today is the 3rd of the month of March, and today is International Ear Care Day. Ear Care Day is today. This is National Mulled Wine Day. It's National Anthem Day. It is the 3rd of March. This is Prince's Day. It's also What If Cats and Dogs Had Opposable Thumbs Day. Well, they wouldn't have any trouble climbing trees, would they? They'd also be drinking a lot of coffee. if dogs and cats had opposable thumbs day. Also, it's Dress in Blue Day and Employee Appreciation Day. Thank you very much. That's what's special about today. Now, here's our trivia question for today. Since it's kind of blustery, it's breezy, then we've had temperatures in the 80s so far in late February. Let's talk a question about the weather, okay? Well, in fact, not just weather, but in temperature. You know, there's 3 common ways to measure temperature. One is Fahrenheit, one is Celsius, created by a guy named Andre Celsius. That's true. And there's a third way. What's the third way that you measure temperature? Common ways of measuring temperatures. Fahrenheit, Celsius, and the third one. What is it? That's our trivia question. We'll have the answer to that question coming up for you in the next segment of the program. That's up next on Wayne Goldsboro Television. Today we're at Herman Park on Jackson Street, just off Jackson Street here in Goldsboro. We're talking with Jessica Strickland of the Cooperative Extension Service. You're the horticulture agent. Now, what does that mean? What do you do?
Well, we work with people and helping them with their gardens when they have questions or they want to know how to get started in gardening. So that's main focus is working with gardeners.
And that in just a few words is what you do, but there's a whole lot more
There
than
is
that.
a lot to it, yes.
Let me also say that it is cold out here today.
It
the
is.
winds are blowing, but you don't want to do what we're about to do in extremely warm weather, do you?
That's right. We have had some weird weather this year so far where it's been really warm. A lot of things are sprouting out, but here today we've got crepe myrtles, which are a summer blooming tree or shrub, depending on how you prune it.
Yeah.
And so far we don't have any buds or anything yet, so we're still good on we can prune these.
Okay, now we're going to talk about pruning, and we're going to show some demonstrations on how to prune and what to prune. Now, why do you prune, first of all?
First thing, there's several reasons you prune. A lot of times people are trying to control the size. They're trying to keep the structure and the shape that keeps the plant, as far as gives the plant some strength. And then too, just to make it look nicer is a lot of times why we prune.
Okay. What about some of the reasons would be to perhaps cut off dead wood?
A lot of times the dead wood, diseased wood, we cut that off is
yeah.
to keep the plant healthier. Is another part that helps with pruning.
Okay. Is there a level where you should not prune? Should you not prune any more than or any less than a certain amount?
Usually you hear about a third is the rule, that you don't want to prune more than a third of the plant at a time. There are some exceptions to that rule. For example, we have some plants in the back that are holly, some shrubs, that sometimes you can prune those low to the ground and let those rejuvenate. It's a rejuvenating pruning. Do it this time of year, late winter, early spring, and let that plant grow back and be more compacted and control the size a little bit. So there's a few, shrubs like that we can prune a little differently.
Like holly bushes, you can cut those pretty much.
You can.
Severely.
Azaleas, if your azaleas get too big, you can cut those back and let them start. It's not a pruning that you necessarily do every year, but every 2 or 3 years you might do that just to rejuvenate it and get the plant looking better.
Okay, so azaleas. What about roses?
Roses usually we cut back pretty far. If we're talking about the modern roses, which is with a flower that's blooming on one stem, then you're pruning those back and keeping about 3 to 5 of the healthiest canes and cut those canes to where they're about a foot or two above the ground.
You said 3 to 5, and that's just a good number.
It is, yeah, just kind of a rough estimate of how many canes you would keep.
It just looks a lot better than 4 and 6 and 8.
Yeah, and it also opens it up for air circulation, so that helps prevent some disease problems that roses can get in the summertime.
Okay, but now those are okay to cut back and leave what, 6-inch canes maybe?
Yes.
Would be a good number.
Yeah, that would work.
You don't have to cut them all the way to the ground.
No, you don't have to.
You don't want to either.
No, you want to keep some of it there.
Some of it there.
Yes.
Now, and you mentioned holly bushes. That's another one you can pretty much cut back severely.
You can. Usually people do it about every 2 or 3 years. If it's the shrub's getting too big, they cut them back lower to the ground and let them start over, and kind of controls the size and keeps it more compact.
Now, the time of year is extremely important that you do this.
It is. Most of what we prune is this time of year, late winter, early spring. There's a few exceptions. The main one is your spring blooming shrubs. That's azaleas, forsythia, some of your spireas, those types of plants, hydrangeas. You want to wait on those until after they bloom, because right now they have flower buds that they formed last fall that's going to bloom this year. So if you couldn't prune them now, you're cutting off the flowers.
Cutting off the flower. Don't want to do that. Now those are the spring blooming.
Yes, spring blooming shrubs.
Azalea particularly, we've got
Azalea's
a lot of
best
azaleas
example.
here.
That's right. Azalea's best example. You don't want to prune them now. Now, if you're doing that rejuvenation where you're going to kind of start it over, you could go ahead and do that because it gives it time to get some growth on it throughout the year and gets it reestablished. But you would lose some of the flowers then for this year.
So you don't want to do that. February is the ideal month to do
It
this.
is. Usually we say mid to late February is the best time to prune them.
To prune them. And so azaleas, you want to leave those alone, as you say. But now, what about the temperature? If you start pruning now, that's going to generate new growth in a lot of cases.
It is. Whenever we make cuts and we prune, it does generate some new growth. So timing is important as far as like with our crepe myrtles, with how warm the weather's been. So far, we've not seen buds on, but if we started seeing buds on them, that new growth's going to have flowers. So we want to get that done before those new buds begin.
All right, and as I understand it, the new bud, if there's new buds on there and they're not opening, then and we get a mild frost, they're okay.
Yeah, as long as those buds are closed tight, usually they're protected. The problem is whenever it's got small leaves on it where those buds have already opened, that's where we could see some damage.
That's where we see damage. All right, now tell me about some of the things you have here. That we use to prune. What is this?
Okay, with pruning, we always say it's important to have the right tool, and there's a few different pruning tools. This is the one you're going to use the most is your hand pruners. Usually this is for your smaller branches. If they're about less than 1.5 inches in diameter, that's when you use the hand pruners. These are bypass pruners. So bypass pruners, the blades actually cross each other. So
like
it makes
scissors.
It makes a nice clean cut. So you want to make sure you get that. If you do a lot of pruning, there's a lot of options where you can spend a lot of money on a pair of pruners or you can spend a little bit. But if you do a lot of pruning, you probably want to invest a little bit of money. If you're left-handed, there's ones for left-handed. There's ones that are better as far as for your wrist if you're doing a lot of repetitive motions. So there's a lot of options. There's ones that can have replacement blades so you don't have to replace the whole tool every time. These are really good. You don't want to use them for bigger branches once you get past about 1.5 inches in diameter, because what happens is you're kind of trying to cut through that and you're not making a nice clean cut. You want in one swoop you want to make a nice clean cut. If you're having to kind of tear at it or and work through that branch, you're making more tears, and that allows you've got an open wound, just like if you cut your skin or something that bacteria or fungus, some type of disease or insect could get in there, or you get some moisture and get some rot. So we want a nice clean cut so that way it heals quickly and the plant stays healthy.
Okay, now this is up to 1 inch. What about those that are bigger than an inch?
Okay, so the next one up probably is your loppers, and this is a fancy pair. So this does some serious cutting. Again, same way, there's a lot of choices. You can get some real simple loppers. Sometimes the blades dull quickly or they just don't last long. If you're doing a lot of pruning, again, investing a little bit of money helps, because like this one has a shock guard, so it makes a nice smooth cut. You're not having to really work at it as hard. It helps make that cut a little easier to make on those larger branches.
That looks like you could cut a 3 or 4 inch limb.
Yeah, you could. And it says
you have the strength.
Yeah, so on here it does say it cuts up to 1 3/4 inch, but yeah, getting up to a couple inches.
Yeah, I don't cut 2 inches either.
Yeah, but it makes that motion easier when you're trying to make a nice clean cut.
You're using let's see now, what is the class? It was the physics. You're using physics.
Yes.
Because the handle is longer.
That's
and
right.
You have more
Yes.
a longer area, which makes never mind.
That's right. No, but that's true. And then when you get branches that are higher up in the tree, you can even get these where they have extended arms, and that way it'll extend it where you can reach higher tree. Of course, this one, it's pretty heavy, so that's. You got to consider too that weight trying to get it higher if it's a heavy type of loppers.
It's a trade-off.
But again, it's really good for bigger branches. We've got a couple here we'll use them for where they're larger branches. This will make a better cut than your hand pruners.
And again, you want to keep it as smooth a cut as possible.
Yes, you do. Yeah, a nice clean cut's what you want. So you want to keep sharp blades, sharpen the blades, or get them replaced as they dull.
Okay. Well, good. Let's do some cutting here. Let's find out what we need to do here.
Okay, with
All
this one we're looking at crepe myrtles,
Crepe
and
myrtle.
the first thing we do is look for dead, damaged, dying branches, and there's really not much here. These have been really pruned very well, taken well care of. We do recommend with crepe myrtles that we don't top them off, and that's where you're pretty much going through and you're just lopping them off.
I see that all the time.
Yes, and a lot of times we refer to that kind of jokingly as crepe murder, that you're murdering the tree. And what you end up is these large, if you make that cut there every year, you end up these large knots. And where you made that cut, you get a lot of small, weak branches. They can't really support the flowers. They're very weak. And then you've got that knot where you're going to get eventually some rotting in there and damage the plant. Okay. So a lot of people do it for several reasons. Sometimes they just see other people do it and say, well, they did it, I'm going to do it too. And without realizing that probably that person's not doing it right either.
All right, so the ideal situation for pruning crepe myrtles is you want how many
you want anywhere
trunks
to 3 to 5 trunks that you want to keep.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
All right, this one accidentally has 4.
Yeah, and you do, most of them it looks like have 4. There's a few that have extra. And with that, now you do see some they want to keep one trunk and make it a nice single trunk tree, and that's perfectly fine. So you do have some options with crepe myrtles as far as how you want the base of it to look over time as it gets bigger. And you got to have to think about it as far as you're training the tree, not necessarily just cutting it, you're training it. So when you're training, you want to think about how's it going to look in the future, you know, as far as that appearance that you might be after.
So there's 8 million different cultivars of crepe myrtle.
There is. And a lot of times too, you know, I mentioned people lop them off or top them just because they see other people do it. Another reason is trying to control the size. So there's a lot of different crepe myrtles available. So if you're picking them out, consider your size and pick smaller ones for small spaces that don't have a lot of room. And then you can pick your bigger ones and give them the space in other areas. And then you don't have to worry about topping them off to control that size.
Right. Different cultivars. And some are small and some are large.
Yes.
Some are actually trees and some are
That's
shrubs.
Right. Some are shrub-like too. So, yeah. With this one, the first thing we look at is any dead, dying, or diseased branches.
Right.
Don't see any really on here. It's in pretty good shape. Then the next thing to look at is kind of crossing branches. And I did notice there's just a couple. Right in here's one. If you think about it, as this plant gets bigger, it's already rubbing that. As those branches rub, they're going to create a wound and damage to the plant where, again, moisture, rotting, insect or pest problems could get in there.
All right, well, let's
So
go ahead and
okay.
cut that off. Now
I'll trade with you here.
Okay. All right. Now,
And when you make a cut, we'll point out what you're looking at is the branch collar.
the collar.
Mhm,
It's a
yes.
little thick area there, right?
It is. It's a little thick area, and you're going just in front of that. The reason for that is it's found that that's where it heals the quickest. So if we cut into that branch collar and cut it flush with the next branch, then you're leaving a wider wound, and it's not allowing it to heal as fast. You cut too much into the tree.
All right, so you look for the little thick area near the part you're cutting. All right,
Okay, and then, you know, just in front of that branch collar,
okay.
and that's all there is to it. So now you're going to prevent that branch from crossing.
Okay.
And there's a couple of small ones in there that we would take out just so they don't cross in the future.
When they cross, they're rubbing, and it could create
They are.
problem, disease, and such.
Yes, So and then the next thing I would look at is the sprouts at the bottom.
Okay.
And this one, okay.
All right.
Right.
All right. Now the sprouts at the bottom. If you'll come right over here.
Okay.
How do you approach this now?
Okay, this one we're going to go again to where it meets another branch. I didn't point out that when you cut a branch, you don't want to leave like a stub. You do want to go to that branch collar. Leaving a stub, that will rot. And again, it's another one that damages the health of the tree. So we're going to go to the branch.
All right. So you don't, when you're cutting, you don't want to leave anything like that.
You don't.
You want to cut right here at the collar.
Because what happens is that piece you leave will rot. And then you can see where it rots can go on into the main branch and into your main trunk.
You got big trouble.
It'll take several years, but years down the road, you see that damage. And sometimes you see that on some sides of larger old trees where they've had some damage or something. You see where the rotting's occurred down through the trunk.
Okay, now the part we're interested in here is about 3/4 of an inch or so.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah. So we're going to use the loppers for that one.
Use the loppers on that
Okay.
one. All right. Here you go.
All right. I'll trade with you.
All right. Trade with me, and we're going to go down here, and we're going to. All right. Okay, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, but right there is probably.
All right. Good.
Yep.
Good.
And then.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Now, there may be some other, as you mentioned, some crossings here.
Yeah, there could be a couple others, like right here's one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we'll take, and that one you can kind of tell, it goes back to where maybe a branch was taken out or broken before.
Uh-huh. Right.
So what I would do is cut it right here and let this branch grow out.
All right. Cut it here.
Or right above.
Oh, here.
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this branch right here
Mm-hmm.
will grow out that way.
Yes, and sometimes you have to think about that. What direction is that branch going to go in the future? This one, we took this one out because it's going up and crossing,
Yeah.
but instead this one is going out, so that's, we want them to go up and out.
All right. Is it too early to say, well, I need to cut this?
You could wait on that. It's really up to you to wait. Right there is one of those stubs
Yeah,
that
you get
I would
that.
cut back a little closer to that branch. Yep.
Okay.
But that's really it. And once you really get in the habit of doing an annual pruning, you can tell with this, it's pretty easy. It doesn't require a lot of work, and just kind of clean it up a little bit each year, and you're good to go.
All right. And then your shrubs and trees will be healthy?
Yes.
What would be the difference between a shrub and pruning a tree? Is it pretty much the same?
It does vary a little bit. A tree, you're looking at trying to get that structure. A shrub's a little different because, like with these hollies, you've got the leaves, it's harder to see the branches. Instead, you're trying to maintain the shape.
Mm-hmm.
These, it looks like they've cut back in the past to kind of rejuvenate and start them over.
Mm-hmm.
So really with these, they're in good shape. All you'd want to do is kind of clean up just some of the little ones that are kind of out of place. Like this one, I would prune it back to where it meets another branch just because it sticks out by itself.
Right.
And just to keep that shape maintained. Unless you're doing a formal garden, we really don't want to hedge or just shear the top and turn them into kind of what I call meatball shrubs that are perfectly round. That's not the natural shape of the
and
plant.
it's too formal.
It
You don't
is,
want it
and
to be
for
too
most people,
formal.
it's too formal, and it's a lot of work. Once you start that, you've got to keep that up.
Right.
So if you're having to do a lot of pruning, especially 3 or 4 times during the year just to maintain that shape, probably too much to do that. So instead, we want to keep the natural shape. So you want branches that are different heights, different spacings, and so forth to let that shrub have its natural shape.
Okay, if anyone has any questions, they need help with this. Is there a pamphlet on this?
We do. We've got a lot of information on how to prune trees and shrubs, and they can contact our office to get those, and they can stop by and pick them up, or we can mail them to them. And our office number is 919-731-1520.
731-1520, 731-1520. Jessica Strickland is the horticulture agent for the County of Wayne at the Cooperative Extension Service. Jessica, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And back on Wayne Goldsboro Television, it's Friday. Oh boy, going to be a great weekend, lots of sunshine. In fact, no mention of rain for another week or so. But the temperature's going to be chilly, like tonight's going to be below freezing, so make a range, do what you got to do for your plants. If you have potted plants outside on your deck, you may want to take them inside if you want to. All right, just be aware of that. It's just going to be below freezing. Over the weekend, it's going to steadily warm up over the next several days, but it's going to be chilly. It's going to be cool. We got for ages, if you have a 4 to 13-year-old, somewhere in between 4 to 13 years of age, it's going to be a soccer league, sort of. Parks and Recreation Department offering soccer for 4 to 13 years of age. The fee is $30. You can register at Herman Park Center. Register at Herman Park Center. Registration ends March 10th. So if you have a youngster who enjoys soccer, sign him up, sign her up, sign them up. 919-739-7491, 739-7491 is the number to call to sign your youngster up for soccer, 4 to 13 years of age. Speaking of soccer, There's a thing here called Top Soccer. Now, a couple of years ago, we covered this, or was that last year? Sometime within the last century, we covered Top Soccer, which actually was an event that took place in the Toronto area. We drove up, did a lot of video. And Top Soccer's goal is to provide soccer opportunities for young athletes with physical and or mental disabilities. Prior soccer experience is not necessary. Certified and experienced coaches will run exercise games to introduce the game of soccer. They do not have to know anything about soccer, but it'll be introduced to them, and if you're interested, you can please call the following number. It's 919-584-2998. 584-2998. You can also go on Facebook and look under Top Soccer of Goldsboro. Top Soccer is one word. Top Soccer of Goldsboro. You can also register at Herman Park Center. Now what they need is they'll need the name and age of your child, the school they attend, and the contact telephone number. Volunteers interested in being part of the program are also welcome to send their information. That would include name, age, and field of interest. This event is free. Free to participants. Contact now. Limited registrations are available. Go to the Facebook page, Top Soccer of Goldsboro. Top Soccer of Goldsboro. Young athletes with physical and or mental disabilities. And let me tell you something. When I was out there videotaping this thing, I did not see anybody unhappy. You talk about kids having fun. These youngsters were having a fun time. And I mean, they were in wheelchairs, they were on crutches, they were in braces. They were just having so much fun. This is great. This is a great program. Okay. Again, I want to mention about the rabies clinics that the County of Wayne puts on. There'll be 2 rabies clinics coming up soon, April 1st and April 8th. The first one on April 1st will be at Eastern Wayne High School at 8 a.m. and at Southern Wayne High School at 1 p.m. The following Saturday, April 8th, at Grantham Elementary School at 8 a.m. and the old Pikeville School building at 1 p.m. The nice part is that they've cut the price tremendously. It was $10, now it's only $5. You can get your pet vaccinated against rabies. Any pet in Wayne County, dog or cat or whatever, is required to have a rabies shot at as long as they're 4 months or older. Any pet 4 months or older, dog or cat, is required to have a rabies shot. And then have another a year later. And then after that, it's every 3 years. You're asked to, if they've had the second shot, the second vaccination, you're required to bring proof of that, so that after that, then they will have the 3rd year vaccination. $5, and if you have any questions about that, you can call over to the Animal Adoption and Education Center, 919-731-1439, 731-1439. That's going to wrap it up on this chilly Friday. I hope you have a great day. Please, if you're going anywhere, drive carefully. Always wear your seatbelt, because seatbelts save lives. Until Monday, I'm Wayne Alley, and this is Wayne Goldsboro Television.